The last thing Stephen remembered was the violent shudder of the colony ship Perseverance as it broke apart in the asteroid field. Metal screamed, atmosphere vented into the void, and then nothing. Just the cold embrace of space and the certain knowledge that this was the end. That death, it seemed, had other plans. Stephen's eyes opened to soft amber light. His chest rose and fell with breath he shouldn't have had. For a moment, he simply stared at an unfamiliar ceiling, smooth, organic-looking, with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed like a heartbeat. Then he heard it, a sound that transcended species and language. Someone was crying. He turned his head, slowly, every movement feeling both foreign and miraculous. Beside his bed sat a figure that definitely wasn't human. She was tall, even sitting, with skin that shimmered between deep purple and midnight blue. 4 arms were folded against her torso, and her face, angular and beautiful in an utterly alien way, was streaked with what could only be tears. Her large, opalescent eyes were fixed on him, widening in shock as she realized he was awake. You're conscious," she whispered in perfect English, though her voice had a melodic quality that suggested the translation was technological rather than natural. "By the ancestors, you're actually awake." Stephen tried to speak, but his throat was dry. She immediately reached for a container with one of her forehands, helping him drink a liquid that tasted like spring water mixed with starlight. If starlight had a flavor, where ... he managed. "Where am I?" "My medical bay," she said, wiping her face with another hand while still supporting him with the first. "I'm Jathara, a salvage operator. I found your ship's wreckage 3 cycles ago." Her voice broke. "You were the only survivor, and even then, you shouldn't have. No one survives void exposure like that. No one." Stephen's mind raced, processing. The others, Diane. Was there a woman? Young, about my age, brown hair. Jathara's expression, readable despite her alien features, told him everything. She shook her head slowly. "You were alone in that section. I'm sorry. So deeply sorry." The grief hit him like a physical blow. Diane had been his partner, his friend, his reason for joining the colony mission. They were supposed to build a new life together on Kepler-4 for 2B. Now she was gone, scattered among the stars. And he was here in the care of an alien who'd apparently worked miracles to keep him alive. "I don't understand," Stephen said, his voice rough with emotion. "How am I alive? I was exposed to vacuum. My suit was compromised. I felt myself dying." Jathara's 4 hands moved in a gesture that might have been the alien equivalent of a shrug. "That's what I've been trying to understand for 3 cycles. By every medical standard I know, and I know many species standards, you should be dead. Void exposure, radiation damage, cellular destruction. I brought you aboard only to document another tragedy." She paused, her opalescent eyes shimmering. "But then your heart started beating again. On its own. Without intervention, that's impossible. I know. I've been studying xenobiology for 40 solar cycles. I've seen beings that can survive temperature extremes, radiation, even brief vacuum exposure. But you..." She leaned forward, and Stephen saw wonder mixed with the remnants of tears on her face. "You were dead, Stephen. Medically, certifiably dead. For almost a full standard hour. And then you came back." Stephen looked down at his hands, human familiar, but somehow foreign now that he knew what they'd survived. "Humans are stubborn, I guess." Jathara made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. "Stubborn, is that what you call it? I've documented every moment, and I still don't believe it. Your cellular structure literally repaired itself. Tissue that should have been necrotic just ... regenerated. It's beautiful and terrifying in equal measure." She stood, her full height impressive, and moved to a display panel. With 2 hands, she pulled up holographic images of cellular structures. "Look at this. These are your cells rebuilding after catastrophic damage. They don't just heal, they adapt. It's as if death itself is just another obstacle for human biology to overcome." Stephen stared at the images, seeing his own biology as if for the first time. "We're not that special. Humans die all the time. Easily, actually," perhaps Jathara said softly, returning to sit beside him. "But perhaps there's something about your species that even you don't fully understand. A resilience that goes beyond normal biological parameters." She fixed him with an intense gaze. "I've been traveling these sectors for decades, Stephen. I've encountered hundreds of species. None of them have this refusal to surrender to the inevitable." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of survival and loss hanging between them. Finally, Stephen asked, "Why were you crying?" "When I woke up," Jathara's skin rippled through several color shifts, purple to blue to something almost silver. If he had to guess, it was embarrassment. "Because," she said quietly, "I've spent 3 cycles trying to save you. trying everything I knew, everything I could invent, every desperate measure. I thought I'd failed, that I'd have to watch another being die, alone, in my care. Her voice strengthened, and then, just as I was about to perform the death rites, you opened your eyes. I wasn't crying from sadness, Stephen. I was crying from joy, and terror, and wonder. Stephen felt something shift in his chest, not physical, but emotional. Here was this alien woman, this stranger from a species he'd never encountered, who had fought to save his life with everything she had, who had cried for him, who had refused to give up even when all logic said she should. "Thank you," he said simply, "for not giving up on me." Jathar's hands reached out, gently touching his arm in what he instinctively understood was a gesture of connection. "How could I? You humans have a saying, don't you? Humanity. Fuck yeah. I've heard it in the trading posts. Always wondered what it meant." She smiled, an expression that translated perfectly despite the alien features. "Now I understand. You simply refused to stay down." Stephen managed a weak smile in return. "We're going to figure out what happened to the others, to Diane, to everyone." And then he paused, feeling strength returning to his limbs, purpose returning to his heart. "Then we're going to make sure their dream doesn't die with them." Jathara asked, "If you'll have me aboard, I've got nothing left to go back to. But maybe we can help others, save others." The alien woman's skin shimmered with warm golden tones, and she made a gesture with all four hands that Stephen somehow knew meant agreement. "Solidarity, hope." "Then we travel together," she said. "The stubborn human who refused to die, and the salvager who refused to let him." Outside the medical bay, the stars wheeled through the viewport, indifferent and eternal. But inside, two beings from different worlds had found something universal, the will to continue, to hope, to survive, because that's what humanity did best: refuse to surrender. Even when the universe itself said it was over,